What if everything you've been told about aging is a lie? What if the wrinkles, the fatigue, the slowing down of your body isn't the inevitable march of time, but rather a dimming of something far more profound, an inner light that you've unknowingly allowed to fade? Stay with me here, because what I'm about to share with you today might completely transform how you see your own body, your own future, and the very nature of time itself. Imagine for a moment that somewhere in the hidden corridors of ancient knowledge there existed a manuscript so dangerous, so revolutionary, that it had to be erased from history, not because it was false, but because it was too true. This manuscript spoke of a healer named REJUVENATE, a man who dared to say what the world wasn't ready to hear. Your body doesn't age because of years. It ages because you've been programmed to believe it must. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. Now, think about this for a second. Has this ever happened to you? You wake up one morning, look in the mirror, and suddenly notice a new line on your face, a tiredness in your eyes that wasn't there before, and you think to yourself, well, I'm getting older. It seems natural, doesn't it? Almost inevitable. But what if that very thought, that single moment of acceptance, is the exact signal that triggers your cells to age? What if your body, in its infinite intelligence, is simply responding to the story you keep telling it? Science has shown us something extraordinary. Your skin completely regenerates every 28 days. Your liver rebuilds itself every 5 months. Even your bones are constantly breaking down and rebuilding, creating a new skeleton every decade. So if your body is perpetually renewing itself, why do we age at all? The answer isn't written in your genes. It's whispered in your thoughts, echoed in your beliefs, and reinforced every time society tells you that decline is destiny. REJUVENATE understood something that modern medicine is only beginning to glimpse. What we call aging is not a biological certainty, but an energetic dimming. It's not that your cells wear out, it's that the light sustaining them grows faint. And here's where it gets fascinating. This light, this vital force that animates every cell in your body, responds not to the calendar, but to your consciousness, your breath, your words, your vision of yourself. What you're about to discover might surprise you, because hidden within your own biology is a quantum laboratory, a place where thought becomes chemistry, where emotion becomes structure, where consciousness literally shapes flesh. Stay with me until the end, because we're going to explore exactly how this happens, and more importantly, how you can begin to reprogram your body's internal signals starting today. We're going to dive into what REJUVENATE called embodied quantum biology, a bridge between ancient wisdom and cutting-edge science that reveals your body as something far more malleable, far more responsive, far more miraculous than you ever imagined. The real question isn't whether your body can rejuvenate, it's whether you're ready to give it permission. Because here's the hidden truth that ancient wisdom keepers understood millennia before modern science caught up. Consciousness doesn't age. Read that again. Consciousness itself, that aware presence looking out through your eyes right now, has no expiration date. The Egyptian mystery schools knew this. The Vedantic sages taught it. Even Jesus, in texts that didn't make it into the official canon, said something profound. Fear not the body, for it is shadow, but attend to the shadow that dwells in the mind. What did he mean? That the body is merely responding, always responding to something deeper, the vibrational field of your beliefs. Think about the impact of that statement. Your body is shadow. The real substance, the real power, lives in the realm of thought, belief, and consciousness. And this isn't just spiritual poetry anymore. This is where the journey gets scientifically fascinating. Because while ancient texts spoke in metaphors about shadows and light, modern epigenetics is now speaking in the language of genes and cellular signals, and they're saying essentially the same thing. Dr. Bruce Lipton, a cellular biologist who quite literally watched cells under a microscope for years, made a discovery that shook the foundations of genetic determinism. He found that your genes aren't your destiny. They're more like a library of possibilities. What determines which books get pulled off the shelf and read? Your environment. But here's the transformation moment. Your perceived environment matters more than your actual environment. Let me explain what this means for you. When you wake up and tell yourself, I'm too old for this, or it's too late for me, or my body is breaking down, you're not just having a negative thought, you're literally sending electrical impulses from your brain to your hypothalamus, which then triggers a cascade of stress hormones, primarily cortisol, flooding through your system. Now, cortisol isn't inherently bad. It's designed to help you in moments of danger. But when it becomes chronic, when it's released day after day because of the story you're telling yourself about aging, it actively interferes with melatonin production, disrupts your sleep architecture, and shuts down cellular regeneration processes that normally happen while you rest. In other words, the belief that you're aging becomes the very mechanism that ages you. Your cells are listening to every word, every thought, every conviction you hold about yourself. They don't argue. They don't question. They simply obey the vibrational frequency you're broadcasting. This is the revelation that changes everything. You are not a victim of your biology. You are the director of it. Every single day, with every thought pattern you repeat, every belief you reinforce, every story you tell yourself about what's possible or impossible for your body, you're essentially programming your cells like a software engineer writes code. And just like bad code creates glitches in a computer system, limiting beliefs create dysfunction in your biological system. The ancient mystics called this the shadow in the mind, the false ideas that cast darkness over your inner light. Modern science calls it epigenetic expression, the switching on and off of genetic potential based on environmental signals, with your thoughts being the most powerful environmental signal of all. Now, I want to go even deeper into this, because understanding the mechanics of how thought becomes biology is just the beginning. What matters more is learning how to consciously harness this power, how to speak a new language to your cells, one that tells them not to prepare for decay, but to activate rejuvenation protocols that are already hardwired into your DNA. Write in the comments, "My cells are listening," if this is resonating with you right now. Because imagine for a moment that each of your trillions of cells is a tiny lantern. Some are burning bright, radiating vitality and energy. Others are flickering dim, barely lit. What determines the brightness of each lantern? It's not the age of the wick or the quality of the oil, it's the clarity of the signal it receives from you. Every morning when you wake up, that first thought you have, that initial conversation you conduct with yourself in the silence of your own mind, is broadcasting a frequency across your entire biological network, and every cell is tuning into that frequency like a radio trying to catch a signal. If this resonated with you, subscribe to continue this journey. There's so much more to explore together about the hidden power within you. This is where the journey of transformation truly begins. In those unguarded moments between sleep and full wakefulness, when your conscious mind hasn't yet built its walls of logic and limitation, what you tell yourself in those moments is literally programming your day at a cellular level. When someone falls in love and suddenly looks years younger, glowing with vitality, we call it magic. We say love has transformed them. But it's not mystical, it's mechanical. Their frequency changed. The signal they're broadcasting to their cells shifted from survival mode to thriving mode, from contraction to expansion, from fear to possibility. The cells simply responded to new instructions. The same thing happens when someone discovers a purpose that ignites them, a mission that makes them forget about their age entirely. They don't rejuvenate because they found some external fountain of youth. They rejuvenate because their internal broadcaster switched channels, and their cells, always obedient, always listening, began expressing different genetic programs. This is the impact of conscious thought on biological reality, and it's happening in your body right now, whether you're aware of it or not. But here's where we need to talk about something uncomfortable, something hiding in plain sight that most people never question. The cultural conditioning we've all been swimming in since childhood. Every birthday cake with candles, every over-the-hill joke, every well-meaning comment about acting your age. These aren't harmless traditions. They're vibrational contracts you're signing with your own biology. When you blow out those candles and someone jokes, "Well, you're getting old now," and you laugh and agree, you've just sent a command to every cell in your body. You've essentially said, begin the aging protocol, initiate decline. Think about the decisions we make often unconsciously that reinforce this contract. I can't wear that anymore, I'm too old. That's not for someone my age. My best years are behind me. Each statement is a door closing, an energetic pathway shutting down, a lantern dimming, and the system, the medical establishment, the beauty industry, the pharmaceutical companies, they're all built on the premise that your body needs salvation from the outside. They've convinced you that aging is inevitable and that your only hope is intervention. Creams promising to turn back time, procedures to lift and tuck, medications to manage the symptoms of decline. But what if the entire premise is backwards? What if the revelation we need isn't found in a clinic or a prescription bottle, but in the recognition that everything begins from within? That the instruction to rejuvenate, to regenerate, to reignite that inner light doesn't come from external sources, but from your own consciousness, speaking a new language to yourselves. The multi-billion-dollar industry thrives on your belief that you're powerless, that time is your enemy, that your body is failing you. But behind the scenes of all their marketing and messaging is a simple truth they don't want you to discover. You hold the remote control to your own biology. This isn't about rejecting science or medicine. It's about understanding that the most powerful medicine cabinet you'll ever access is between your ears and in your heart. The mindset you carry about aging, the beliefs you hold about what's possible for your body, the story you tell yourself about who you are and what you're capable of, these are the real architects of your biological destiny. And the beautiful, liberating truth is that you can change that story right now, today, in this very moment. Drop a comment below with, "I'm rewriting my story," if you're ready to take back this power. Because once you understand that you're the author of your own biological story, the next question becomes practical. How do you actually speak this new language to your cells? How do you begin this transformation from the inside out? It starts simpler than you might imagine, with 7 minutes each morning before the noise of the world rushes in. This isn't about adding another complicated routine to your already busy life. It's about creating a sacred moment of reconnection, a bridge between your consciousness and the cellular intelligence that's been waiting patiently for your attention. Picture this. You wake up, and instead of immediately reaching for your phone or jumping into the mental checklist of everything you need to do, you sit on the edge of your bed, eyes closed, one hand resting on your heart, the other on your solar plexus. That space just below your ribcage where so much emotion and energy gathers. For 1 full minute, you simply breathe, not forcing anything, not trying to be somewhere else, just breathing and feeling the rise and fall of your chest. the warmth of your own hands against your body. Then, in that quiet space, you speak directly to your cells with words that carry real power. I am not my years. I am the light that traverses them. My body remembers how to shine. What's happening in this moment isn't just positive thinking or affirmation, it's biochemical communication. As you repeat these words with genuine feeling, as you visualize your cells like fireflies awakening in darkness, each one beginning to glow, you're actually triggering a cascade of neurochemical responses. Your brain doesn't distinguish between vivid imagination and physical reality. It responds to both by releasing specific molecules into your bloodstream. This is the hidden mechanism behind what looks like miracles of spontaneous healing or unexpected rejuvenation. There's a story that illustrates this beautifully. In a Tibetan monastery high in the mountains, where the air is thin and the silence is thick, an elder monk had a daily practice that fascinated those who observed it. Before drinking water, something so simple, so automatic for most of us, he would hold the cup between his palms, close his eyes and whisper, "May my thoughts be nourishment for my cells." He understood something profound about the invisible order of reality. Every thought you think generates a vibrational command that ripples through your entire biological system. Your cells don't argue, don't negotiate, don't question. They simply obey. This might sound mystical, but the science behind it is remarkably concrete. Dr. Candace Pert, a neuroscientist who spent her career studying the biochemistry of emotions, made a groundbreaking discovery. Emotions aren't just feelings, they're molecules. Specifically, they're neuropeptides, chemical messengers that travel through your bloodstream and attach to receptor sites on every cell in your body. When you think a thought repeatedly, especially one charged with emotion, you're essentially creating your own internal pharmacy. Thoughts become endogenous pharmacology, medicine produced from within. The impact of this revelation changes everything about how we approach health, aging, and vitality. It means that the sad thought you had this morning about looking older, if sustained with enough emotion and repetition, manufactures stress hormones that accelerate cellular aging. But it also means that the decision to consciously direct your thoughts toward renewal and vitality creates an entirely different chemical environment in your body. One where regeneration becomes the default program rather than deterioration. This is why ancient practices and cutting-edge neuroscience are finally meeting in the middle, confirming what wisdom keepers have always known. Consciousness shapes matter. Your mind isn't trapped in your skull. It's distributed throughout your entire body via these chemical messengers, constantly translating thoughts into physical reality. The monks understood this. Intuitively, the scientists are now proving it empirically, and you, right now, have the opportunity to harness this power intentionally. Write "I choose renewal" in the comments if this understanding is shifting something inside you. Because when we talk about genes, most people imagine them as a fixed instruction manual, an unchangeable blueprint handed down from your parents and grandparents that dictates everything about your health, your lifespan, your destiny. But that's one of the biggest misconceptions perpetuated by outdated science. The truth is far more empowering and far more liberating than you've been led to believe. Your body contains more than 20,000 genes, but here's what they don't tell you in mainstream health conversations. Only about 5% of those genes are actively expressing themselves at any given moment. 5%. The other 95%? They're sitting there like apps on your phone that haven't been opened yet, waiting for the right signal to activate. Bruce Lipton's breakthrough research revealed something that fundamentally challenges genetic determinism. Genes are blueprints, not orders. Think about what that means for your journey toward vitality and renewal. A blueprint shows what's possible, what could be built, but it doesn't build anything by itself. What determines which parts of the blueprint become actual construction in your body? Your environment and your interpretation of that environment. And since your thoughts and beliefs are the most intimate, consistent environment your cells experience, that means you're essentially deciding every single day which genetic programs get activated and which ones stay dormant. When you engage in that negative internal dialogue, I'm falling apart, my genes are bad, disease runs in my family, you're not just having pessimistic thoughts. You're sending activation signals to inflammatory genes, to stress response genes, to genes associated with breakdown and deterioration. But the opposite is equally true and infinitely more exciting. When you consciously shift that internal dialogue toward renewal, vitality, and possibility, you're literally activating different genetic programs, ones that code for repair, regeneration, and resilience. This is the hidden power behind spontaneous healing stories, behind people who defy their family's medical history, behind individuals who seem to age backwards while others around them decline. The science behind this transformation has a name: neuroplasticity. And understanding it changes everything about how you approach not just aging, but your entire experience of being human. Your brain isn't a fixed computer running on hardwired circuits. It's more like clay that continuously reshapes itself based on what you focus on, what you repeat, what you believe. The principle is elegantly simple, but profoundly powerful. What you repeat, you fix. What you fix, you embody. Every thought you think creates a neural pathway. Think that thought again, especially with emotional intensity, and that pathway gets stronger, deeper, more automatic. Think it enough times and it becomes a superhighway in your brain, firing without conscious effort. But here's where it gets really interesting from a biological standpoint. These aren't just mental patterns, they're physical structures. When you sustain a thought emotionally, when you feel it deeply and repeatedly, you create reinforced synaptic routes that then activate specific hormonal patterns. Those hormones flood your bloodstream and tell your cells how to behave, which genes to express, which proteins to manufacture. This is the direct pathway from thought to emotion to chemistry to biology. It's the mechanism behind the mind-body connection that used to be dismissed as pseudoscience, but is now confirmed by every major research institution studying human physiology. So when someone tells you, you are what you think, they're not speaking. Metaphorically, they're describing literal biochemical reality. The sad story you keep replaying about your declining health becomes neural architecture, which becomes hormonal signaling, which becomes cellular behavior, which becomes the physical condition you're experiencing. But the beautiful, liberating flip side is that a new story, sustained with genuine feeling and repetition, can literally rewire your brain, reprogram your hormones, and redirect your cellular expression toward vitality. Rather than decay, the decisions you make about what to focus on, what to believe, what to repeat to yourself aren't just psychological. They're biological imperatives with measurable physical consequences. Type "I'm rewiring" in the comments if you can feel this truth resonating in your body right now. Because here's where the journey takes a turn that might sound almost unbelievable until you understand the mechanics behind it. Your DNA isn't just a passive storage device for genetic information. It's an active receiver constantly tuning into frequencies, not radio waves, but emotional frequencies. Your DNA doesn't have ears in the traditional sense, but it has something far more sophisticated: the ability to sense and respond to the vibrational quality of your emotional state. When you say, "I am returning to life," the words themselves aren't what matter most. It's the emotional resonance behind those words, the genuine feeling you put into them, that creates a biochemical shift. If this shifted something in you, hit the like button. It helps other seekers find their way here too. The research in psychoneuroendocrinology has documented something extraordinary. When you speak or think with authentic emotion, your DNA's physical structure actually changes. The double helix doesn't just sit there unchanging, it folds and unfolds in response to your emotional broadcasts. Dormant genes that have been silent for years suddenly wake up and begin expressing themselves. Your body starts producing nitric oxide, a molecule crucial for cardiovascular health and cellular communication. DHEA, often called the vitality hormone because of its anti-aging properties, begins flooding your system. This isn't wishful thinking or New Age fantasy. This is vibrational bioengineering happening in real time inside your body. And you're the engineer. The hidden truth here is that thought becomes tangible biology through emotional amplification. A neutral thought like, "I am healthy," has minimal impact. But that same thought charged with deep feeling, with certainty, with the visceral sense of already being what you're affirming, that creates a completely different response in your cellular environment. It's the difference between whispering to your cells and commanding them with authority. Your cells respond to authority, to conviction, to emotional truth. They've been waiting for clear instructions from you, but most people have been broadcasting static, confused signals, contradictory messages, doubt-laden affirmations that cancel themselves out. So let me share something practical you can implement immediately to begin this transformation at the cellular level. This isn't complicated meditation requiring years of practice or special training. It's a 10-minute daily practice that rewrites your cellular code from the inside out. Find a quiet space where you won't be interrupted. Sit comfortably, placing both hands over your chest so you can feel your heartbeat, that steady rhythm reminding you that you're alive, that your body is already working miracles every second. Close your eyes and take 3 deep, intentional breaths, not shallow chest breathing, but deep belly breaths that signal to your nervous system that you're safe, that you're present, that you're ready to communicate. Then, for 3 full minutes, you're going to repeat a sequence of statements while simultaneously visualizing your cells awakening like lights, turning on in a darkened city. See them in your mind's eye beginning to glow, to vibrate with renewed energy. As you breathe, speak these words either aloud or silently, but with genuine feeling. My thoughts create my biology. My cells vibrate in life. I am reprogramming my body with every luminous idea. Feel each word as you say it. Don't just recite it mechanically. Mean it. Let the meaning sink into your chest, into your belly, into your bones. What's happening during these minutes is a complete shift in your internal biochemistry. You're moving from survival mode to creation mode, from breakdown to breakthrough, from aging to renewal. The impact of this simple practice compounds over time because you're literally training yourselves to respond to a new frequency, a new set of instructions. And here's the revelation that makes this so powerful. Your cells are obedient. They don't judge your commands. They don't second-guess you. They simply follow the clearest, most emotionally charged signal they receive. For most people, that signal has been fear, doubt, resignation. You're consciously choosing to broadcast something different. After those 3 minutes of repetition and visualization, you complete the practice with gratitude, because gratitude itself is one of the highest vibrational frequencies you can embody. Place your hands over your heart again and speak directly to your body with appreciation. Thank you for obeying me. I am the transmitter. You are the reflection. In that moment, you're acknowledging the sacred partnership between consciousness and biology, between the invisible and the visible, between the decision you're making and the physical reality that will follow. Leave a comment with, "I am the transmitter," if you're ready to start speaking this new language to your cells. Because what we've been discussing so far, thoughts, emotions, cellular communication, all of this happens within a larger context that most people never consider. Your body isn't just a collection of organs and tissues held together by skin. Your flesh, your bones, your blood, all of it is floating in an invisible ocean of intelligent vibratory energy. This isn't poetic language. This is describing the actual electromagnetic field that surrounds and permeates every living thing. Before anything manifests physically in your body, before a cell divides or a protein forms, there's an energetic blueprint organizing that manifestation. The physical body is the last place that change appears, not the first. The ancient Egyptians understood this deeply. They had a word for it, the ka. To them, the physical body was merely the densest shadow, the most solid expression of something far more subtle and powerful. The ka was this energetic structure, this luminous architecture that held the body's true pattern. And they knew something crucial. The ka could be strengthened or weakened not by what you ate or how much you exercised, but by the quality of your thoughts and the purity of your intentions. Dark thoughts, resentment, hatred, fear, these literally corrupted the energetic structure, and eventually that corruption would appear as disease in the physical body. But elevated thoughts, acts of compassion, moments of genuine connection, these strengthened the ka, making the physical body more resilient, more vibrant, more alive. Modern science is finally catching up to this ancient wisdom through research that would have seemed impossible just decades ago. The Heart Math Institute has been measuring something extraordinary. Your heart generates an electromagnetic field that's not just metaphorically powerful, it's measurably thousands of times stronger than the field produced by your brain. Think about the impact of that revelation. We've been taught to believe the brain is the command center, the seat of consciousness, the controller of everything. But your heart is broadcasting a signal so powerful it can be detected over 3 feet, away from your body with sensitive instruments. And here's where it gets really interesting. That field isn't static, it's constantly changing based on your emotional state. When you feel anger, frustration, or resentment, researchers can measure how your heart's electromagnetic field becomes chaotic, irregular, incoherent. It's literally distorting, creating dissonance that affects every cell in your body and even impacts the people around you, though they may not consciously realize why they feel uncomfortable in your presence. But when you shift into gratitude, appreciation, or genuine love, that same field suddenly becomes coherent, organized, harmonious. It expands outward in smooth, rhythmic waves. And this isn't just an interesting phenomenon. This coherent heart field has direct, measurable effects on your biology. Heart coherence, as they call it, regulates your immune system, helping your body distinguish between real threats and false alarms. It balances your hormonal cascade, ensuring that regenerative hormones flow freely while stress hormones diminish. It restores energy at the cellular level because coherent electromagnetic fields literally help organize cellular function more efficiently. Your heart isn't just pumping blood, it's broadcasting instructions, coordinating the symphony of your biology through invisible frequencies. The decisions you make about what to feel, what to focus on, what emotional state to cultivate aren't just affecting your mood. They're programming your entire energetic and physical system. This is the hidden mechanism behind why some people seem to radiate health and vitality, while others, even with perfect diets and exercise routines, remain tired and unwell. It's not about what's happening at the physical level alone. It's about what's happening in the field, in that invisible ocean of energy where your heart is the primary transmitter. When your heart and brain are in coherence, when they're broadcasting complementary rather than conflicting signals, your body enters a state of optimal function. Healing accelerates, energy increases, clarity emerges. You literally become a different vibrational being, and your cells respond by expressing different genetic programs. So the journey we're on isn't just about changing thoughts or practicing affirmations. It's about learning to generate and sustain coherent emotional states that organize your entire energy field. It's about understanding that you're not just a physical body having occasional spiritual experiences. You're primarily an energetic being, and that energetic structure is what's really determining your health, your vitality, your rate of aging. The physical body simply follows the instructions broadcast from this deeper level. Type coherence in the comments if you're beginning to sense how powerful this really is. Because when scientists study the structure of energy fields around living beings, they discover something that connects us to the cosmos in a profound way. We're all organized according to the same fundamental pattern called a torus. Imagine a donut-shaped energy field spiraling inward through the center of your body and simultaneously radiating outward, then curving back around to complete the circuit. This isn't mystical geometry. This is the actual shape of the electromagnetic field surrounding you right now. And here's what makes this revelation so significant. This exact same pattern governs Earth's magnetic field, the flow of energy around the sun, even the structure of galaxies. It's the universe's signature design for organizing conscious life. The transformation happens when you understand that this toroidal field responds directly to your emotional state. When you emit sustained fear, worry about the future, anxiety about your health, dread about aging, your energy field literally contracts. It pulls inward, becomes dense, restricted, compressed. That compression affects everything within the field, including the cells of your physical body. They receive less coherent information, less organized instruction, and they begin to mirror that chaos in their function. But when you consciously generate and sustain feelings of love, appreciation, wonder, connection, your field expands outward. It becomes spacious, flowing, harmonious. And in that expanded state, something remarkable happens. Your tissues begin to reorganize themselves according to a higher pattern of coherence. This is the hidden mechanism behind spontaneous healing that doctors call miraculous. It's not that the laws of biology were suspended. It's that the person shifted their energetic field so dramatically that their cells had no choice but to respond by expressing different programs. The physical body always follows the energetic blueprint, and you're constantly redesigning that blueprint with every emotional decision you make. The impact isn't delayed or theoretical, it's immediate and measurable, even if the physical manifestation takes time to become visible. Now, ancient traditions from the East understood this energy architecture in different language, but with remarkable precision. The Vedic seers mapped out specific energy centers running along the spine, vortices they called chakras, each one governing different aspects of your vitality and consciousness. When these centers spin freely and remain open, energy flows through your system like a clear river, nourishing every cell, every organ, every tissue. But when they become blocked, and here's where most people live without realizing it, vital energy stops flowing, pools up, stagnates, and that stagnation eventually manifests as physical illness or psychological distress. Each of these energetic centers vibrates at a specific frequency and responds to particular emotional states. Your root center at the base of your spine thrums with either security and groundedness or contracts with fear and survival anxiety. Your sacral center below the navel either dances with joy, creativity, and healthy desire, or closes down under repression and shame. Your solar plexus, that power center in your upper abdomen, either radiates confidence and personal sovereignty or shrinks under submission and powerlessness. Your heart center expands with love, compassion, and connection, or hardens with resentment, grief, and protective walls. Moving up, your throat center either flows with authentic expression and truth-telling or tightens with all the words you've swallowed. The truths you haven't spoken, the voice you've suppressed. Your third eye between your brows either sees clearly with intuition and insight, or clouds over with confusion and denial. And your crown at the top of your head either opens to connection with something greater than yourself, or closes in isolation and disconnection. These aren't just philosophical concepts, they're descriptions of actual energetic dynamics that directly affect your physical health and rate of aging. The journey of transformation requires you to honestly assess which of these centers are blocked in your own system. Where is energy not flowing freely? Where have you been holding tension, suppressing emotion, or living in patterns that close rather than open your vitality? Because behind the scenes of every chronic physical condition is usually an energetic blockage that preceded it, sometimes by years. The body tried to speak to you through subtle signals, fatigue, tension, minor aches, but if those signals were ignored, the blockage deepened until it had to manifest as something more dramatic to get your attention. Comment: energy is flowing if you're starting to recognize where your own blocks might be. Because once you become aware of these energy dynamics, the natural question becomes, how do I actually clear these blockages and recalibrate my field? How do I take this understanding from concept to lived experience? The answer is simpler than you might think, but it requires consistency and genuine presence. 8 minutes a day, that's all you need to begin fundamentally shifting your energetic architecture. Find a space where you can sit with your spine straight, or if you prefer, lie down in a comfortable position where your body can fully relax. Close your eyes and begin breathing with intention. A slow 5-count inhale, filling your lungs completely, then a 5-count exhale, emptying fully. As you settle into this rhythm, bring your attention to the center of your chest. Visualize a sphere of soft, warm light beginning to form there, like a tiny sun being born in your heart space. With each exhale, watch this sphere expand. First, it grows to about 4 inches around you, then a foot, then extending a full meter in all directions, creating a luminous bubble of coherent energy surrounding your entire body. As you do this, repeat silently or aloud, "My field is clean. My energy vibrates in coherence. My body follows my light." Feel the truth of these words as you speak them. You're not trying to convince yourself of something false. You're reminding your system of its natural state, calling it back to alignment. What's happening during this practice is a recalibration at the deepest level of your being. You're consciously directing your attention and intention to organize the chaos that daily stress, negative emotions, and environmental interference create in your field. The impact of this daily reset compounds over time. Most people never intentionally work with their energy field at all. They just react to whatever emotional state arises, letting their field be tossed around by external circumstances. But when you take these 8 minutes to consciously expand and clarify your field, you're taking back control of the primary organizing force that governs your physical health and vitality. Now, I want to go even deeper into something that might sound almost mystical, but is actually grounded in both ancient wisdom and emerging science, the role of water in all of this. Because water isn't just a substance you drink or bathe in. Throughout human history, across every spiritual tradition, water has been recognized as threshold, witness, and mirror. Think about how Genesis, the story of creation in the Judeo-Christian tradition, doesn't begin with earth or fire or even light. It begins with a spirit moving over waters. Before anything else manifested, there was water and something divine interacting with it. This wasn't accidental imagery. It was pointing to a profound truth about water's unique properties. Water listens. That might sound poetic, but there's actual science supporting this seemingly impossible statement. Water responds to vibration, to intention, to the emotional quality of what's around it. It's like a child who picks up on a mother's tone, not just the words being spoken, but the feeling behind them, the frequency being transmitted. Water holds memory. It records vibrational information and carries it forward. And here's why this matters so much to your journey of transformation. Your body is roughly 70% water. That's not just any water. It's structured water, organized in a specific way within your cells and tissues. This water is constantly recording the vibrational quality of your thoughts, emotions, and the energy field we've been discussing. When you think fearful thoughts repeatedly, your cellular water literally changes structure at the molecular level. Research in the field of structured water and biophotonics has shown that water exposed to negative emotions loses its coherent crystalline structure and becomes chaotic. But water exposed to elevated emotions, gratitude, love, appreciation, forms beautifully organized geometric patterns. Your internal ocean, that 70% of you that's water, is being constantly reshaped by the quality of your consciousness. The decisions you make about what to feel and think aren't just psychological, they're hydrological, if you will. You're either organizing or disrupting the water that makes up the majority of your physical form. Write "Water remembers" in the comments if this hidden connection is opening something new in your understanding. Because there's a researcher whose work brings this water consciousness connection out of the realm of theory and into visible documented reality. Dr. Masaru Emoto, a Japanese scientist, conducted experiments that should fundamentally change how every person on this planet thinks about the water they drink and the water that constitutes their body. His methodology was brilliantly simple. He exposed water samples to different stimuli, spoken words, written words taped to containers, music, prayers, then rapidly froze those samples and examined the resulting ice crystals under a microscope. What he discovered was nothing short of revolutionary. Water that had been exposed to words like love, gratitude, peace, and harmony formed. Ice crystals of stunning beauty, perfectly symmetrical, intricate, organized geometric patterns that looked like nature's most exquisite snowflakes. But water exposed to words like hate, you fool, you disgust me, or you make me sick, formed crystals that were chaotic, fragmented, asymmetrical, ugly. The visual difference was so dramatic that even skeptics had to pause and consider what this meant. Your voice, your words, your thoughts, they're not just abstract mental events, they're literally molding the water around you and within you. What you drink becomes what you are, but more importantly, what you think and say to yourself is constantly reshaping the water that you already are. The impact of this revelation extends far beyond just being mindful of what you say aloud. It means that every internal dialogue, every silent criticism you level at yourself, every judgment you make about your body or your age, all of it is being recorded in your cellular water. And since this water forms the environment in which every biological process occurs, you're essentially bathing your cells in either coherent, life-giving frequencies or chaotic, destructive patterns. The hidden truth here is that you've been inadvertently programming your own deterioration through unconscious negative self-talk, while simultaneously possessing the power to reverse that programming by consciously choosing elevated language and emotion. But the story of water gets even more fascinating when we understand that the water in your body isn't behaving like the water in a glass. Scientists studying cellular hydration have discovered something called structured water, sometimes referred to as the fourth phase of water. It's not quite liquid and not quite solid. It exists in a state between the two, with unique electromagnetic properties that make it almost crystalline in nature. This structured water creates the environment within your cells where the magic of life happens. It's the medium in which proteins fold into their functional shapes, where DNA coils and uncoils to express genetic information, where mitochondria breathe and produce the energy that keeps you alive. This water isn't static, it's vibrating. And the frequency of that vibration changes constantly based on what you're thinking, saying, and feeling. When you're stressed, angry, or depressed, your cellular water loses its structured coherence. It becomes more chaotic, less organized, less efficient at facilitating the thousands of biochemical reactions that need to happen every second for you to thrive. But when you shift into elevated emotional states, when you consciously direct loving thoughts toward yourself and your body, that cellular water restructures itself into more coherent patterns. The transformation isn't just emotional or mental, it's literally hydrological and therefore biological. So every decision you make about your internal environment, what thoughts you entertain, what emotions you cultivate, what words you use to describe yourself, is directly affecting the state of the water that forms the foundation of your cellular function. This is why two people can eat the same diet, do the same exercise, and have such different health outcomes. One person might be drinking pure spring water but filling their cells with toxic thoughts, while another drinks ordinary water but blesses it with gratitude and saturates their consciousness with appreciation. The second person will experience better health outcomes because the determining factor isn't just what enters your body, but the vibrational state of the water already there. Type "I am restructuring" in the comments if you're beginning to grasp how deeply your consciousness penetrates your physical form, because when you understand that water is a vibrational mirror, you realize that every word you speak, even the ones you never say aloud, the ones that echo only in the privacy of your own mind, is actively rewriting your body's hydric structure moment by moment. This isn't happening abstractly or symbolically. It's happening right now in the tissues that regenerate most rapidly. Your skin constantly renewing itself, your intestinal lining replacing itself every few days, your nervous system constantly forming new neural connections. These high renewal tissues are particularly sensitive to the quality of information being transmitted through your cellular water. Gerald Pollack, a researcher at the University of Washington, made a discovery that bridges ancient intuition and modern physics. He found that water inside living cells doesn't behave like the water you pour from a tap. It forms what he calls an exclusion zone, a region where water molecules organize themselves into a liquid crystalline structure with extraordinary properties. In this zone, protons and electrons align in ordered patterns, almost as if they're listening to a melody and arranging themselves according to its rhythm. This organized water creates a kind of energetic scaffold that supports all cellular function. When this structure is coherent, your cells operate at peak efficiency. When it becomes disrupted by negative emotion or chaotic thought patterns, cellular function degrades. The hidden truth here is that you're not just a passive container for water, you're actively organizing or disorganizing it with every thought, every emotion, every intention. The impact of this realization should fundamentally change how you approach your internal dialogue. When you criticize your body, when you tell yourself you're too old or too damaged or too far gone, you're not just having a bad moment. You're corrupting the liquid crystalline structure that enables your cells to function. But when you shift that dialogue, when you speak to yourself with compassion and possibility, you're literally restructuring the medium in which all life processes occur. So let me share a simple but profound practice that allows you to work with this water consciousness connection intentionally. Every morning, before you consume anything else, before coffee or food or the chaos of the day rushes in, take a glass of clean, pure water. Hold it between both hands as if you're holding something sacred, because you are. Close your eyes and take 3 deep, intentional breaths. Feel yourself becoming present, dropping out of your busy mind and into your sensing body. Then speak to this water, either aloud or silently, with genuine feeling. May this water remember my truth. May each drop be light. May each cell hear this vibration and regenerate. As you say these words, feel them as sound waves moving from your vocal cords or your mind into the water between your hands. Imagine the water receiving this information, its molecular structure shifting to accommodate the frequency you're transmitting. This isn't superstition. You're working with the same principles that Dr. Emoto documented, the same physics that Gerald Pollack's research revealed. You're consciously programming the water that's about to become part of your cellular environment. Then drink that water slowly, mindfully, in complete silence. Feel it traveling down your throat, spreading through your stomach, beginning its journey to every cell in your body, carrying the vibrational blueprint you just installed. This 5-minute practice might seem too simple to matter, but simplicity doesn't mean ineffectiveness. In fact, the most powerful transformations often come from the simplest interventions, applied consistently over time. You're not adding complexity to your life. You're adding consciousness to something you already do. The decision to drink water consciously rather than unconsciously is the difference between passive consumption and active creation. Behind the scenes of this simple ritual is a profound shift in how you relate to your body and its needs. You're moving from the mindset of being a victim of biology to recognizing yourself as the conscious director of your biological expression. Leave "blessing my water" in the comments if you're ready to make this practice part of your daily transformation. Because once you grasp that your cellular water is responding to vibration, the next revelation becomes almost inevitable. If water responds to frequency and you're mostly water, then sound itself becomes medicine. This isn't New Age wishful thinking. This is ancient technology that our ancestors understood intimately. The great temples and sacred spaces weren't just built with stone and mortar. They were constructed with acoustic precision, designed to generate specific frequencies that would resonate with the human body in transformative ways. The columns weren't just structural, they were tuned to produce certain tones. The vaulted ceilings weren't just architectural, they were harmonic amplifiers. The human body entering these spaces was the only instrument capable of truly resonating with this sacred architecture. And when that resonance occurred, healing happened. That knowledge hasn't disappeared. It lives dormant in the depths of your chest, in the way certain songs move you to tears, in the way a particular voice can soothe or agitate, in the way silence itself has texture and presence. Sound doesn't just create auditory experience, it literally reorders biological structures. Every sound wave that reaches your body creates physical vibration. Your skin registers it, your bones conduct it, your organs resonate with it. The question isn't whether sound affects you, it's whether you're consciously choosing the sounds that shape your biology or passively accepting whatever acoustic environment modern life throws at you. The science behind this is both elegant and startling. Fabien Maman, a biophysicist and composer, conducted experiments that should be taught in every medical school but somehow remain obscure. He exposed cancer cells to different musical notes and frequencies, documenting their response under microscope. The results were astonishing and unambiguous. Certain frequencies literally disorganized the membranes of harmful cells, causing them to lose structural integrity and die. Other frequencies strengthened healthy tissue, making it more resilient and organized. Each cell in your body, it turns out, is like a musical instrument with its own resonant frequency, and when you play the right note, that cell responds by either harmonizing or dissonating. Think about the impact of this discovery. Your body isn't just a biochemical machine, it's a symphony. Your skin, your organs, your bones are all vibrating at specific frequencies right now, even as you watch this. They're creating a complex harmonic signature that's unique to you. When you introduce sound, music, voice, even environmental noise, you're literally tuning that internal symphony. Harsh, discordant sounds create tension and disorganization in your cellular structure. Harmonious, coherent sounds create ease and optimal function. The transformation from disease to health, from aging to vitality, can be influenced by something as simple as the acoustic environment you inhabit. Now, I want to go even deeper into why this matters for your personal journey. Most people live in chronic acoustic chaos, traffic noise, construction sounds, aggressive music, contentious conversations, news broadcasts designed to trigger stress. All of this is creating vibrational dissonance in your body constantly. Your cells are trying to maintain their natural frequency, but they're being bombarded by frequencies that pull them out of coherence. Behind the scenes of unexplained fatigue, persistent inflammation, and accelerated aging is often this unrecognized factor: acoustic toxicity. Your environment is literally playing the wrong song, and your body is struggling to maintain its melody. But here's where your power lies. You can consciously choose to retune your environment and yourself. The decisions you make about what sounds you expose yourself to aren't just aesthetic preferences, they're biological interventions. When you choose music that elevates rather than agitates, when you seek moments of genuine silence instead of filling every space with noise, when you speak to yourself and others with tonal compassion rather than harsh criticism, you're conducting cellular healing through frequency. Write frequency healing in the comments if you're recognizing how sound has been affecting you all along. Because when researchers began studying specific frequencies and their effects on human biology, they discovered something that mystics and sound healers had known for millennia. Certain tones have universal healing properties. Take 528 Hz, for instance, a frequency that's been called the love frequency in various spiritual traditions. Modern studies have shown this isn't just poetic language. When cells are exposed to 528 Hz, measurable changes occur. DNA repair mechanisms activate, oxidative stress decreases, and cellular regeneration accelerates. This frequency literally speaks the language of renewal to your body at the molecular level. Then there's 432 Hz, often referred to as the universe's natural tuning. When you listen to music tuned to this frequency, instead of the standard 440 Hz that most modern music uses, something shifts internally. Your mind calms. Your blood pressure stabilizes. Brain scans show increased coherence between the left and right hemispheres, that state of whole brain integration associated with peak performance and profound peace. It's as if your body recognizes this frequency as home, as the vibration it was designed to resonate with. The impact isn't subtle for those who pay attention. It's the difference between feeling scattered and feeling centered, between agitation and ease. And perhaps most relevant to our journey of releasing the past and stepping into renewal is 396 Hz, a frequency that appears to dissolve dense emotional patterns, guilt, fear, shame. These emotions don't just live in your mind. They crystallize in your body as inflammation, as tension, as the very cellular aging we've been discussing. When you expose yourself to 396 Hz, whether through music or sound healing instruments, you're literally loosening the grip these old patterns have on your biology. The hidden mechanism here is that sound creates mechanical vibration that can break up stagnant energy and stuck emotion, the way an opera singer's voice can shatter glass at the right frequency. But here's what most people don't realize. You carry the most powerful healing instrument with you everywhere you go: your voice. Not your phone playing healing frequencies, not a meditation app, not a sound bowl. Your own human voice is the most ancient, sacred, and perfectly attuned instrument for your unique biology. Yet it's the tool we use least consciously. We speak all day long, complaining, explaining, small talking, but rarely do we use our voice as the medicine it was designed to be. Tantric texts understood this profoundly when they declared, "Whoever knows how to use their voice needs no other medicine." Think about what that statement means. When you emit sound charged with genuine presence and intention, when you hum, chant, or speak with conscious vibration, you're not just moving air molecules. You're directly touching your immune system. You're reorganizing your internal architecture. The vibration of your vocal cords creates waves that travel through the water in your body. That's 70% we discussed. And those waves carry information that your cells receive and respond to. Behind the scenes of every spiritual tradition that uses chanting or sacred sound is this understanding. Your voice is a direct line to your biology, bypassing the thinking mind and speaking straight to the cellular intelligence that governs your health. The transformation that becomes possible when you reclaim your voice as a healing tool is profound. You don't need expensive equipment or specialized training. You need willingness to sound, even when it feels awkward at first. A simple, sustained ah or om, or even humming while you prepare food. These acts of conscious vocalization create coherence in your nervous system, massage your vagus nerve, stimulate your thyroid, and send organizing frequencies throughout your entire body. The decision to use your voice intentionally is a decision to activate your built-in healing technology. Comment, "My voice heals me," if you're ready to explore this power that's been with you all along. Because knowing that your voice is a healing instrument is one thing. Actually using it is where the transformation lives. So let me guide you through something you can do right now, today, that will demonstrate this power directly. Find just 5 minutes where you won't be interrupted. Sit somewhere comfortable, close your eyes and place one hand on your heart center and the other on your abdomen. Take 3 deep, grounding breaths to settle yourself into your body. Then, as you exhale, begin to emit a soft, prolonged ah sound. Not loud, not performative, just sustained and gentle, letting the sound emerge naturally from deep in your chest. Feel what happens. Notice the vibration resonating through your ribcage, your heart, your lungs. Continue this for about 2 minutes and pay attention to the sensations. You might feel warmth spreading, or tension releasing, or simply a sense of coming home to yourself. Then shift to a different vowel sound, oh, and sustain that for a couple of minutes. Notice how this vibration feels different, perhaps settling lower in your body, activating different tissues. Finally, move to that humming sound that creates vibration right up into your skull, massaging your brain, stimulating your pineal gland. As you cycle through these sounds, you'll discover that one of them brings you more relief, more peace, more sense of rightness than the others. That's your body telling you what frequency it needs most right now. Stay with that sound for the remaining time, letting it work its subtle magic on your cellular structure. What you're doing in these 5 minutes is more than relaxation. You're literally using acoustic medicine to reorganize your internal architecture. The decisions you make about whether to incorporate this simple practice into your daily rhythm will have measurable impact on your nervous system coherence, your stress response, and ultimately your rate of aging. But as powerful as sound is, there's something even more fundamental, even more essential to your existence that deserves your conscious attention. Before you ever made a sound with your voice, before you spoke your first word or sang your first song, you did something more ancient and sacred. You breathed. That very first inhalation the moment you emerged from your mother's womb wasn't just a mechanical necessity. It was your initiation into physical existence, the act that sealed your entry into the visible world. And when your time here is complete, it will be the last exhalation, the final breath releasing, that marks your exit. Everything that happens between that first breath and that last breath is essentially a dialogue between you and oxygen, between you and the invisible atmosphere that sustains every moment of your life. Yet, here's the hidden truth that most people live their entire lives without realizing. They breathe without knowing they breathe. Breath happens automatically, unconsciously, in the background of awareness. You've taken hundreds of millions of breaths in your lifetime, but how many of them were you actually present for? How many did you consciously direct, consciously appreciate, consciously use as the transformative tool they are? The journey from unconscious breathing to conscious breath is one of the most powerful shifts you can make, because breath is the bridge between your conscious mind and your autonomic nervous system. It's the one function that happens automatically, but that you can also control voluntarily. That makes it the golden key to influencing all the systems in your body that normally operate beyond your control. Your heart rate, your blood pressure, your hormone production, your immune response, your cellular regeneration. Type "I breathe consciously" in the comments if you're recognizing that this most basic act holds extraordinary power. Because when ancient wisdom keepers spoke of breath, they weren't talking about the automatic inhale-exhale that keeps you alive. They were describing a sophisticated technology for accessing states of consciousness and healing that modern medicine is only now beginning to understand. The Himalayan yogis who lived in caves for decades without aging, the Islamic alchemist physicians who could alter their physiology through breathing patterns, the Taoist sages who mapped invisible meridians where breath converted into life force energy they called chi or prana. These weren't primitive superstitions. These were precision practices based on deep empirical observation of how breath affects every system in your body. The Upanishads, those ancient Sanskrit texts that form the philosophical foundation of yoga, contain a statement so profound that it deserves to be written on the wall of every hospital and medical school. Where breath goes, mind follows. Where mind quiets, body heals. Think about the layered wisdom in that simple sentence. Your breath isn't just delivering oxygen, it's directing your attention. Your attention isn't just observing, it's organizing your biology. When you breathe shallowly and unconsciously, your mind scatters in 1,000 directions. When you breathe deeply and intentionally, your mind settles, focuses, becomes coherent. And in that state of mental coherence, your body activates its innate healing capacities. Neuroscience is now confirming what these ancient traditions knew through direct experience. Studies on something called heart rate variability, HRV for short, have revealed that the pattern of your breathing directly affects the communication between your heart and brain. When you breathe in slow, rhythmic cycles with conscious awareness, something extraordinary happens. Your heart and brain enter a state of coherence, meaning they begin communicating in synchronized, harmonious patterns rather than chaotic, disjointed ones. This isn't just interesting from a scientific standpoint. This measurable state of coherence has cascading effects throughout your entire physiology. In this coherent state, mental clarity sharpens naturally without effort. Your immune system activates more effectively, identifying and eliminating threats while ignoring false alarms. Stress hormones like cortisol drop to healthy levels instead of remaining chronically elevated. And perhaps, most relevant to our journey of rejuvenation, your tissues enter accelerated repair mode. The impact of simply breathing correctly is so profound that it rivals pharmaceutical interventions, except there are no side effects, no prescriptions needed, no corporate profits involved, just you and the air around you engaging in an ancient dance. The research gets even more specific. When you breathe at a rate of 6 cycles per minute, that's a 5-second inhale followed by a 5-second exhale, your body releases elevated levels of DHEA, often called the longevity hormone or the vitality hormone. DHEA is what your body produces abundantly in youth and gradually makes less of as you age. It's associated with cellular regeneration, sexual vitality, mental sharpness, and resilience to stress. The pharmaceutical industry has tried to bottle it and sell it as a supplement, but here's the hidden truth they don't want broadcast too loudly. You can stimulate your body's natural DHEA production simply by breathing in this specific rhythm for just a few minutes a day. The transformation available through conscious breathing isn't dramatic in the moment. You won't feel lightning bolts or see visions. But practiced consistently, this simple shift from unconscious to conscious breath recalibrates your entire nervous system. Behind the scenes, your body is making decisions about whether to allocate resources to survival mode or thriving mode, to break down or break through, to aging or regenerating. Your breath pattern is one of the primary signals it uses to make that determination. Write "breath is technology" in the comments if you're ready to stop taking breathing for granted. Because here's where the rubber meets the road in understanding why your breathing pattern matters so profoundly. Your nervous system is constantly monitoring your breath as a primary indicator of whether you're safe or in danger. This happens completely below conscious awareness, but it determines almost everything about how your body allocates its resources. When you breathe in that shallow, rapid, chest-only pattern that most stressed modern people default to, barely filling the upper portion of your lungs, breathing fast and irregular, your body interprets that as a danger signal. Your nervous system says, "We're under threat. Activate emergency protocols." In that moment, your sympathetic nervous system takes over. This is the famous fight-or-flight response. Adrenaline floods your bloodstream, cortisol spikes, your heart rate accelerates, blood gets shunted away from your digestive organs and toward your muscles so you can run or fight. Your pupils dilate. Your immune system temporarily suppresses, because who cares about healing a cut when a tiger is chasing you? And crucially, all regenerative and repair functions shut down. Your body essentially says, "Survival now, maintenance later." The problem is that for most people, later never comes because they're chronically breathing in this shallow, danger signaling pattern. But when you consciously shift to deep, rhythmic abdominal breathing, filling your belly first, then your chest, breathing slowly and deliberately, you send an entirely different message to that same nervous system. Now it receives the signal, "We're safe, stand down from emergency mode." Your parasympathetic nervous system activates, sometimes called the rest and digest system. Functions that were shut down suddenly come back online. Digestion resumes and optimizes. Hormones regulate themselves. Serotonin and endorphins, your natural feel-good chemicals, begin producing. Your body shifts from survival mode into regeneration mode, where healing, repair, and renewal become the priority. The transformation available through this simple shift in breathing pattern is nothing short of miraculous when you consider how accessible it is. You're not adding something to your life. You're changing the quality of something you're already doing 20,000 times a day. The decisions you make about how you breathe literally determine whether your body thinks it's being chased by predators or resting in safety, and it responds accordingly at every level, from genetic expression to hormone production, to the rate at which your cells age. So let me give you a specific practice that harnesses this understanding in the most efficient way possible. Set aside 7 minutes, either first thing in the morning before the day's chaos begins, or at night before sleep when your mind is naturally quieter. Sit comfortably or recline, whatever feels most restful. Close your eyes and place one hand on your heart, the other on your abdomen, creating that physical connection to your body's core. Then begin breathing in a square pattern, what's sometimes called box breathing. Inhale slowly for 4 counts. Hold that full breath for 4 counts. Exhale completely for 4 counts. Then hold empty for 4 counts before beginning again. This rhythmic pattern does something remarkable. It harmonizes your central nervous system, bringing your heart rate, brain waves, and hormonal cascades into synchronized coherence. As you maintain this breathing rhythm for the full 7 minutes, layer in a conscious intention by mentally repeating, "I awaken the light that sustains me. My body remembers how to be reborn." You're not just oxygenating your cells. You're sending them a clear command wrapped in the most primal language your biology understands. The rhythm of breath combined with the power of conscious intention. Behind the scenes of this simple practice, profound changes are occurring in your gene expression, your cellular metabolism, and your energetic field. Comment, "I signal safety." If you're ready to use your breath as the powerful reset button it was always meant to be. Because everything we've discussed so far, thought, emotion, water, sound, breath, all of it converges in another fundamental act that most people perform, mechanically 3 times a day without ever considering its deeper implications: eating. But there was a time, before industrial agriculture, before nutritional labels, before calorie counting became religion, when humans understood food completely differently. They didn't eat merely to satisfy hunger or fuel their bodies. They ate for alignment. They ate to attune themselves to the frequencies of earth, sun, and season. In that ancient paradigm, fruits weren't just sweet packages of vitamins. They were solar canticles, concentrated songs of sunlight transformed into flesh by the patient alchemy of trees. Green leaves weren't just sources of chlorophyll and fiber. They were living scriptures written in the language of photosynthesis, carrying information from soil and sky directly into your cells. Each food was understood as a frequency, a vibration, a carrier of specific energetic information, and each act of eating was an energetic pact with the earth, a sacred exchange, where you took in not just nutrients, but the very essence, the consciousness of what you consumed. That understanding hasn't disappeared from reality, only from our awareness. It still lives dormant in your tongue, in your saliva, in the silent temple of your stomach, waiting for you to remember. The journey back to this way of relating to food isn't about adopting some complicated diet or following the latest nutritional trend. It's about recognizing that every bite you take is either elevating your frequency or lowering it, organizing your cellular water or disrupting it, aligning your energy field or distorting it. The Ayurvedic texts, thousands of years old, stated something that Western nutrition is only beginning to grasp. Everything you eat becomes either consciousness or residue. There is no neutrality. Food doesn't just break down into calories and macronutrients. It carries information, and that information either integrates seamlessly into your being, raising your vitality and awareness, or it becomes toxic waste that your body has to struggle to eliminate. The hidden truth here is that you're not primarily eating for calories or even for nutrients. You're eating for vibrational information. Modern science, when it bothers to look at food through this lens, finds astonishing correlations. Every substance, including food, emits a measurable electromagnetic signature, a frequency that can be detected and quantified. Bioresonance researchers have measured these frequencies and discovered something that should revolutionize how we think about nutrition. A freshly picked apple, grown without pesticides, still alive with the energy of the tree that birthed it, vibrates at harmonic frequencies between 65 and 70 megahertz. That's a high, coherent vibration that matches the frequency ranges associated with healthy human tissue. Compare that to processed meat, something that's been dead for weeks, pumped full of preservatives, stripped of its original life force. It vibrates below 40 megahertz. That's closer to the frequency of diseased tissue than healthy vitality. When you consume that low-frequency food, your body has to work overtime to process it, and in the meantime, your overall energetic signature drops. The impact isn't just digestive, it's vibrational. You literally become what you eat at the frequency level, and your cells respond by either thriving in a high-frequency environment or struggling in a low-frequency one. The transformation in how you age, how you feel, how much energy you have, isn't just about whether you're eating healthy by conventional standards. It's about whether you're consuming foods that still carry life force or foods that are energetically dead. Behind the scenes of every meal is this invisible but crucial exchange of information between the consciousness encoded in your food and the consciousness that you are. Type "I eat frequency" in the comments if this is shifting how you think about what you put in your body. Because understanding that food carries frequency is only half the equation. The other half is understanding that how you eat matters just as much as what you eat. Chinese medicine has a saying that sounds strange to Western ears. Digestion begins in the eyes. At first, this seems like metaphor, but they meant it literally. They understood that everything entering through your perception, not just the food on your plate, but the entire sensory environment surrounding the act of eating becomes part of the meal itself. You're not just consuming the physical substance of food, you're consuming the context, the atmosphere, the energy of the moment. Think about the decisions you make around eating and their hidden impact. If you're sitting in front of a screen, watching violent news while mechanically shoveling food into your mouth, you're not just eating the food, you're feeding on fear, anxiety, and stress. Those emotional frequencies are mingling with the food's vibration, and your body receives that mixed message. It doesn't matter if the food itself is organic and high frequency, if you're seasoning it with cortisol and adrenaline from the emotional environment. Similarly, if you eat while rushing, standing up, distracted, your body receives the signal that survival, not nourishment, is the priority. You swallow not just food, but anguish, tension, fragmentation. And here's something most nutritionists never mention. If you eat without gratitude, without acknowledgement, without presence, the energetic activation simply doesn't occur fully. Gratitude isn't just a nice spiritual practice, it's a biochemical key that unlocks the full nutritional and energetic potential of what you're consuming. The electromagnetic field surrounding food actually changes based on the emotional state of the person preparing it and the consciousness of the person consuming it. Food prepared with love, attention, and gratitude carries a higher vibrational signature than the identical food prepared in anger, resentment, or mechanical indifference. This is why Grandma's cooking often felt more nourishing than restaurant meals, even when the ingredients were similar. It wasn't nostalgia, it was frequency. She cooked with presence, with care, often with prayer or gratitude, and that emotional intention became encoded in the food itself. Your cells could sense it, even if your mind couldn't articulate it. The transformation available to you isn't about perfect nutrition, it's about conscious consumption, where every meal becomes a ceremony rather than a chore. So let me give you a practice that will fundamentally shift your relationship with food and consequently with your body. The next time you eat, carve out 10 minutes where you can be fully present. Choose something alive, a piece of ripe fruit, a fresh green leaf, a handful of seeds. Before you take a single bite, observe this food silently. Really look at its form, notice its color, breathe in its aroma. This isn't just aesthetic appreciation. You're beginning to establish energetic rapport with what you're about to make part of yourself. Then place the food between your palms, close your eyes, and take 3 deep, intentional breaths. As you hold it, mentally speak to it. This food carries the light my body needs. I receive it with gratitude. I convert it to vibration. Feel the truth of these words. You're not just being polite. You're activating the highest potential of this exchange. Then when you finally eat, chew slowly, thoroughly, at least 15 times per bite. Feel the texture changing, the flavors releasing, the transformation happening right there in your mouth. Digestion truly is beginning in this moment of conscious presence, not later in your stomach. Behind the scenes of this simple ritual is a complete reorientation of your relationship with nourishment. You're moving from unconscious consumption to sacred communion, from feeding to truly being fed. Comment conscious consumption if you're ready to transform every meal into medicine, because we've been talking about all these practices you can do while awake: breathing, sound, visualization, conscious eating. But there's one state that's absolutely critical to your transformation, and it's the one where you're doing nothing at all. Or at least, that's what it looks like from the outside. When you close your eyes at night and drift into sleep, the world seems to stop. Activity ceases. Consciousness fades, but this appearance is deeply misleading. The truth is that sleep is when the most sacred, hidden, and least understood processes of human existence actually begin. Sleep isn't a pause from living, it's a portal to another kind of work entirely. It's not rest in the passive sense, it's an active laboratory where your visible, waking self retreats and the invisible intelligence of your body assumes complete command. This is when the behind-the-scenes magic happens, when all the practices and intentions you've been setting during your waking hours get integrated, processed, and manifested at the cellular level. The decisions you make about how you approach sleep, whether you honor it as sacred or treat it as an inconvenience to be minimized, will determine more about your rate of aging than almost anything else you do. During the deepest phase of sleep, what scientists call slow-wave sleep, something extraordinary happens to your brain. Your brain waves slow down dramatically, descending to a range between 0.5 and 4 Hertz. This is called the delta state, and here's what makes it so significant. This is the exact same frequency range that seasoned meditators access during their deepest practices, the same state that mystics throughout history have described as communion with the divine. You don't have to be a monk or a yogi to reach this state. You enter it naturally every night if your sleep is deep and uninterrupted. In this threshold, invisible miracles occur. Your pituitary gland releases growth hormone, that precious substance that was abundant in your youth and declines as you age. This hormone doesn't just make children grow. In adults, it repairs tissues, strengthens bones, builds lean muscle, and literally reverses cellular aging. Autophagy activates, which is your body's brilliant system for taking out the cellular trash, breaking down damaged proteins, and recycling them into new, healthy structures. Your immune system, which has been working hard all day to protect you, now goes into restoration and education mode, learning to recognize threats more accurately and respond more effectively. But perhaps most fascinating is what mystical traditions have always claimed about this state, that during deep sleep, the soul receives instructions from higher dimensions. Now, whether you interpret that metaphorically or literally, there's something undeniable happening during delta wave sleep that goes beyond mere physical restoration. People wake from deep quality sleep with solutions to problems they couldn't solve while awake, with creative insights that seem to come from nowhere, with emotional resolution that conscious processing couldn't achieve. Something beyond your conscious mind is working during these hours, reorganizing not just your cells, but your consciousness itself. The impact of sleep quality on aging is so profound that you can't compensate for poor sleep with any amount of exercise, perfect nutrition, or supplements. When sleep is disrupted, fragmented, or insufficient, all those cellular repair processes get interrupted. Growth hormone doesn't release fully, autophagy doesn't complete its cleaning cycle. Your immune system doesn't get properly educated, and the result is accelerated aging at every level: genetic, cellular, hormonal, neurological. Write "honoring my sleep" in the comments if you're recognizing that the hours you spend unconscious might be the most important ones for your transformation. Because knowing that sleep is sacred is one thing, creating the conditions for that sacredness to unfold is another. Most people stumble into bed with their nervous system still buzzing, their minds still racing, their screens glowing until the last possible second. Then they wonder why sleep feels more like unconscious collapse than restorative renewal. The transformation begins when you create a deliberate transition, a ritual that signals to your body and consciousness that you're crossing a threshold from the demands of the day into the sanctuary of night. The practice itself is beautifully simple but remarkably powerful. 1 hour before you intend to sleep, turn off all screens, phones, computers, televisions. This isn't just about avoiding blue light, though that matters. It's about giving your nervous system permission to begin down-regulating, to stop processing the endless stream of information and stimulation that modern technology provides. In that screen-free hour, sit for just 5 minutes and breathe rhythmically, using that same coherent breathing pattern we discussed earlier. Then, in a low, gentle voice, declare a positive phrase to yourself, something like, "I release this day with gratitude. I enter the night as sacred space. My body restores, my soul remembers." What's happening biochemically during this simple routine is profound. By eliminating blue light and creating calm, you're allowing your pineal gland to increase melatonin production naturally. By breathing rhythmically and speaking intentionally, you're synchronizing your hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, the master control system for your stress response and hormonal cascades. Nocturnal cortisol peaks, which normally disrupt deep sleep and accelerate aging, decrease significantly. But when you add conscious spiritual intention to these physiological practices, something alchemical occurs that science can measure but not fully explain. The body sleeps, yes, but the soul remembers. Matter restarts its regenerative protocols at a deeper level because you've given it not just permission, but invitation. Now, I want to go even deeper into what might be the most liberating truth of this entire journey. You've been living under an illusion so pervasive that you've probably never questioned it. The illusion that you are your age. That the number of years you've been alive defines what's possible for you, determines your vitality, dictates your trajectory. But here's the hidden revelation that changes everything. You have been born many times without knowing it. Not in past lives necessarily, but in this very life. Every morning you wake is a birth. Every transformation is a rebirth. And you have been old before your time without understanding why. Not because years made you old, but because you accepted an idea about aging and your biology reflected it back to you. This is the final threshold, the place where body and soul finally shake hands and recognize each other not as enemies in conflict, not as spirit trapped in flesh, but as conscious reflections of one another, partners in this dance of existence. The truth that Orale tried to preserve in his forbidden manuscript, the truth that's been hidden behind centuries of conditioning, is breathtakingly simple. You were never your age. You were always the biological reflection of an idea sustained through time. And ideas can change. The soul that animates your body has no chronometer. It doesn't accumulate years like dust on a shelf. It doesn't wear out, doesn't wrinkle, doesn't decay. The consciousness inhabiting your form is fundamentally timeless, not because it ignores time or exists outside of it, but because it transcends time from within, participating in the temporal world while remaining rooted in the eternal. When you truly grasp this, when you feel it not just intellectually but in the marrow of your being, everything shifts. The decisions you make, about your body, your health, your future. Stop being about managing inevitable decline and start being about conscious creation. Comment, I am timeless, if this truth is landing somewhere deep inside you. You know, if you've made it all the way here with me, through thought and water, through sound and breath, through the invisible architecture of your own being, then something in you was ready for this message. You didn't find this video by accident. Something deeper than curiosity brought you here. And I hope what you've discovered is that the power you've been searching for has been living inside you all along, waiting for you to remember. If this resonated with you, if these ideas are already beginning to shift something in your perception, I'd be grateful if you'd subscribe to this channel, because this is just the beginning. We're going to continue exploring these intersections between ancient wisdom and modern science, these hidden truths about consciousness and biology that can genuinely transform how you experience being alive. The journey we're on together matters, and having you here as part of this community makes it richer. Leave a comment below saying, "This message was meant for me," if you feel like this video found you at exactly the right moment. I read every comment, and there's something powerful about declaring your readiness for transformation in words. It's not just for me, it's for you, a way of marking this moment as significant. And if this video gave you something valuable, if it shifted your perspective even slightly, hit that like button. It's a simple gesture, but it helps this message reach others who are searching for the same truths you've been searching for. Someone out there needs to hear this today, and your engagement helps make that connection possible. Before you go, there's another video right here that takes what we've explored even deeper. It complements this perfectly, and honestly, it feels like the natural next step in this journey we're on together. Click and continue with me over there. I'll be waiting for you. Until then, remember, you are not your years. You are the light that traverses them. And that light is just beginning to remember how bright it can shine.